of you who don't know, and I doubt that there are many, MEND stands for Meet Each Need with Dignity. On behalf of the entire Board of Directors, thank you for joining us, both in person and virtually, to celebrate MEND's 5 decades of service. I'm very honored to be part of this incredible organization's work in history. Tonight, we're going to take you on a brief journey through MEND's past, present, and give you a glimpse of the future. Surely your hearts are going to be touched by the story of a few young idealists, right to my left, who just wanted to help others who were struggling and ended up establishing an organization that has become the most important and impactful poverty relief agency in the San Fernando Valley. At the head of the legacy of Ed and Carolyn Rose and the founding families is the caring and compassion that have been woven into the lives of others. They did it because it was the right thing to do. That's integrity. And yes, we're going to ask you for support so that we can continue to fulfill our strategic vision to build the resilience of our community and fulfill our mission to meet the immediate needs of individuals and families and increase their access to opportunities that strengthen their capacity to thrive. Before we get started, though, with our awards, I wanted to acknowledge tonight's premier sponsors. Please hold your applause until I've announced them all. The Kaiser Permanente, our lead 50th anniversary hero sponsor, our community champion sponsor, the Walt Disney Company, our cocktail sponsor, Home Street Bank, our dinner sponsor, HealthNet, and our entertainment sponsor, Bank of America. Let's give them a round of applause. To our sponsors and supporters, thank you so much for your generosity, partnership, and for being a beacon of hope for those who strive for a better life. Janet would not want me to say it, but in her 4 years as president and CEO, she has done an absolutely extraordinary job steering us. Those are the people who know just what kind of job she's done. She's done an extraordinary job steering us through some difficult times and tough decisions to put MEND on an exceptionally strong footing. Please join me in welcoming our CEO, Janet Marinaccio.
Thank you, Bob. That was a little embarrassing. Thank you so much for your kind words and to the board for trusting in my leadership. It is truly an honor to work with you. To our guests here and at home, thank you for joining us tonight. There's so much to celebrate as we honor MEND and our founders. And there's also been so much suffering over the last year and a half. It's at times like this that we're reminded that life is a paradox. And what matters in the end is how well we cared for each other. That's really what MEND is all about. Caring for others, even in challenging times, even in the face of uncertainty. It is because of the generosity of people like all of you that for decades we've been able to carry on our work serving the most vulnerable. For example, the family of 5 that lives in a concrete garage without heat, air conditioning, windows, or ventilation. The single mom who makes constant choices and trade-offs to stretch her meager income, asking herself, do I pay this bill or do I feed my kids? I can't afford to do both. Or the man who's a homeless veteran staying in temporary housing because he's unemployed, over age 60, and can't find work. Our valley and our community were hit hard by the pandemic. About a year ago, Pacoima, where MEND is headquartered, became the epicenter of the pandemic in Los Angeles County, with the highest case rate per 100,000 residents. Already challenging situations became untenable. For some, having to seek help for the first time ever filled them with shame. People were, and still are, struggling. Through it all, our staff remained resolute in their commitment to serve with dignity and respect, following the example set by Ed and Carolyn. And if we can have the house lights up a little bit, I'd like to ask the MEND staff and volunteers who are here to please stand. And those watching from home, we know that you are watching us and you are in our hearts tonight. You are all the living embodiment of the phrase, "It takes a village." Thank you for your dedication, your kindness, and your compassion. Since the start of COVID, we've provided essential services across the valley through an astonishing 750,000 service encounters, and we are not stopping. For example, we've distributed over 5 million pounds of food through our community nourishment programs, directly through our on-site services and through our collaborating partner agencies throughout the county, putting food on tables of thousands of families who might have gone without. In addition to our food distributions, we're providing information and resources about COVID, distributing PPE kits, and over the next year, we're facilitating vaccine clinics in partnership with numerous pharmacies and medical providers. This work has resulted in 1,700 vaccines administered so far in communities with the lowest vaccination rates. We have a great team. They've all been making it happen. We have distributed diapers to families in need, provided a fresh change of clothing to those who are homeless. We've assisted clients with accessing funds to help with rent and utilities, and the list goes on. Our more intensive one-to-one services went to remote. Our family support program provided grounding and stability to families as they coped with uncertainty. And Pathways to Wellness delivered bags of healthy groceries and did wellness check-ins for our most at-risk clients who are managing chronic health conditions. Grounded in the philosophy that in every crisis is opportunity, our board and leadership took a step back to reassess and to consider lessons learned during this unprecedented time, to focus on ways to adapt our strategy. The biggest challenges facing our clients are economic instability, food insecurity, and inadequate housing. And you'll hear later about how we intend to address them through coordinated services provided by MEND and other trusted organizations that share our goal of building a more resilient community. Our founders wanted to make a difference. They did that and more. It takes strong ideals, tenacity, and a lot of grit to take on poverty. It is this example that has set the tone for what we want to accomplish going forward. Before we break for dinner, I want to give a special thank you to the team that made tonight's event a reality. Again, we need a little light so they can be seen. Putting on a hybrid event presented an opportunity to learn and adapt yet again. Creating a meaningful experience took tremendous creativity and commitment. Thank you to Christina Coronel, who makes event planning Christina makes event planning and coordination look easy. Ruby Ochoa, who can do just about anything. She can do anything from tech to design. She even produced one of our videos that you're going to see tonight. Angela Rubalcava cataloged, go ahead, give her a round. Angela cataloged all of the photos, and you have some on your tables, and videos and information that you're going to hear about from the Roses tonight. And none of this would be possible without the leadership of Chania Blumenkrantz, our Chief Development Officer. Chania led every step of making this celebration come to life. Thank you, Chania, for your creativity, your unrelenting drive to create a memorable experience. Of course, thank you to Ed and Carolyn for choosing to act instead of looking away. I will leave you with a final thought to ponder this evening. Ask yourself, what is the difference I can make now and every day? In the words of my friend Scott Miller, the author of Until It's Gone, it is within the grasp of each of us to unleash enormous power to transform our society so that one day no one will ever have to live in poverty again. Please enjoy your dinner, enjoy chatting with each other. Isn't it great to be together again? Yes. And for the virtual audience, we're going to break for dinner for about 30 minutes. But stick around. You're going to want to hear from our honorees. And right now, you're going to get to hear the beautiful music of Carlos Calvo. Thank you.
across the sky. Looks up those boys, midnight somewhere this constellation is getting harder every day to read. Just one place they ever made for me. No one knows, and now we must go and take it all in, just look it out. When I get closer, getting somewhere this constellation is in the farthest corner of the sky. Put your feet back on the ground. If you're not lost, you never will be found. Let your spirit hurl back to the natural world and stay on this side of the clouds. Stay on this side of the clouds. Stream across your back, and blame inside. Yes, the North Star, legendary key. Heavenly body is laying next to me. This constellation is bringing all the stars back home to me. This constellation is bringing all the stars back home to me. Back home to me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I feel like I'm joining you guys at your table. I hope you don't mind.
You can doubt me. You can roll your eyes. You know all about me. And I got so little white lies. don't feel safe, you keep your distance. The things you do to look out for yourself. The outside world can break down your resistance. It's evident to love somebody else. Things in
Thank you guys. You guys are great. All right, let's do a couple more. Hey man, good to see you guys. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, how you doing, man? Glad we're both working. I know, he's exactly right. Exactly right. Perfect, that's perfect.
Walk on a path near the ocean, a taste of the afternoon tea. We'll visit a place of devotion. Would you go there with me? An old mining town in the desert, a wreck on the floor of the sea. A battlefield no one remembers. Would you do this with me? If the choice was mine, I would wait no time. But if it's all too soon, then I will be with you further down the line. Going playing blues on the sidewalk, a kid laughing hysterically, a waitress at night making small talk. Come leave this with me. If the choice was mine, I would waste no time. So too soon, then I will be with you further down the line. You can look to your past. That place is haunted. Come with me, come at last. Can you live everything that you see has been your own creation. Anything that you need, you can build it with me. Yours was mine. I could waste no time. But if it's all too soon, I will be with you further down. If the choice was mine, I would waste no time. If it's all too soon, then I will be with you further down the line.
You guys look so good. I gotta get this shot. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yes. One more.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
I am Jenny Gutierrez, MEND's Chief Operating Officer. Over the 25 years I have been with MEND, even amid change, one thing remains constant: Ed and Carolyn. You set on a course to imagine what could be done with the right intentions. You've been examples of compassion in action, as well as guides and mentors to so many staff, volunteers, and clients. You modeled for us that everyone can roll up their sleeves to help in any way possible. In the early days of Safer at Home orders, we had reduced numbers of volunteers coming in to help, even as demand for services increased. But as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. We all pitched in, sorting food, filling and distributing bags and boxes of groceries, directing traffic, whatever needed to be done. As we reflect on the last 50 years tonight, we also look ahead to the next 50 or more. MEND will be here for as long as we are needed. Please turn your attention to the monitors to hear what's next.
Over 50 years, MEND has grown to become a trusted anchor institution in the San Fernando Valley, serving people who've experienced poverty for years and even generations. For a city with so many resources, it's distressing to see how precariously so many people live. For as long as we're needed, we are committed to addressing the emergency and crisis needs of our neighbors. Our emergency services are meeting the needs of vulnerable people, giving them some relief and enabling them to stretch their paycheck and other resources. But MEND is adapting even as the community changes. High rates of unemployment, food insecurity, and inadequate housing combine to create barriers to social, economic, and physical well-being. Many are eking out a living on less than $20,000 a year. We know that poverty in childhood negatively impacts health, ability to learn, social-emotional development, and increases the likelihood of poverty into adulthood. Without significant intervention, these barriers pass on to the next generation, creating ongoing cycles of poverty. So what's next? We know that our clients do not want to depend on MEND for day-to-day needs. They do so because their current circumstances force them to. With this in mind, MEND will always be a place where food-insecure community members can come for nutritious food. But we also want to become the organization that people will look to when they think of stronger families and resilient communities. So in 2022, we are launching Here We Thrive, an exciting venture focused on gathering under one roof the resources our families need to be resilient: supportive services, wellness coaching, and employment services. We know we can't be all things to all people, so we will deepen our community collaborations with other agencies who can meet the diverse needs of our clients. We can help families take this next step with your help. Over the next 18 months, we will provide these intensive services to 100 client families, surrounding them with the services and support they need to go from relying on crisis services to thriving, so that MEND's most successful client will be the one who no longer needs our crisis services. We are asking you today to join us in making this vision possible. I'm looking forward to coming back next year with the names of each of these families and their stories of striving and reaching their goals. Together, we can secure the future for families who depend on MEND. Thank you for your kind support over the years, and thank you for making this vision a reality.
How about a big hand for that video as we turn the house lights up? Hello, everybody. Are you having a good time tonight? No, we do a little more than that. Are you having a great time tonight? Isn't it great? Much better. Isn't it great to be in a room, and all those on the internet, hello, we are glad you're with us, and congratulations to MEND on 50 years of serving our community. And in the next 10 minutes, what my role is really to focus not just on the next year, but on the next 50 years. And so tonight, we have an opportunity to continue the incredible work that MEND does. You know the programs. You've heard about the Here We Thrive program that's going to be starting up next year for 100 families, to help 100 families work through some of the issues that make them sort of repeat visitors for MEND programs. What can be done for those 100 families so that we can sort of correct the course for them? And then, of course, there's the whole food program. 5 million pounds of food. Can you imagine that? 5 million pounds of food last year. Give it up. That is unbelievable. Last year was the very first year where MEND actually had to purchase food because the demand was so great. We need to continue that going into next year. And next year, the demand is such that MEND will also be purchasing food, and I'm sure next year could exceed more than 5 million. And the other thing that we're going to raise a little bit money tonight for is just general support, to keep the programs on, to keep the lights on, and the staff there, so that the programs and the meaning and the impact that MEND has can continue. So those are really the three items that we're going to raise some money tonight. And all of you have a card on your table. And before I ask anything, I'm going to ask everyone at every table to do one thing. Just have a little fun. If you love what MEND has done in the first 50 years, raise your paddles up in the air right now. Come on, let me see those paddles up. Table number 2, get those paddles up. I'm watching you, table 2. Everyone, raise those paddles up. Everyone, thank you all for your $100,000 donations. Good night. Wish it was that easy. Janet, they haven't heard that in 2 years. It still works, right? Well, if you remember 2 years ago, how many people were here at the last gala a couple years ago, okay? And the gala before, you probably remember a young man named Santiago. And Santiago got a trip to Disneyland, and I never really understood why Janet always told me, Grant, you have to work with Santiago. Grant, you have to work with Santiago. And I said, why? And I figured it out. It's called succession planning. And Santiago is now 11. And you ready to go, Santiago? Come on up here for my assistant, ladies and gentlemen. Santiago. How come you're getting all those applause and I'm not, right? So, you ready to raise some money tonight?
I am ready to, okay, so let's make the goal maybe $5,000.
That's a good start. Okay, all right. That's why you never hand a kid a mic. Okay, we're actually going to start a little bit higher, but you're close. Okay, are you good? Are you good in math or bad in math?
I'm medium.
He's medium. Okay, what's 5,000? What's 5,000?
10,000.
Exactly. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start at $10,000 tonight, and we're going to work our way down to about $100. And the goal is that everyone at every table raise their paddle once. Santiago will point and help me out if he sees the donation. And through the journey, I'm going to tell you what those dollar amounts could mean for MEND. So, for example, $10,000 could provide 2 families with one-on-one support and guidance to achieve their goals, okay? You look great. Don't worry about it, okay? But that's an example of what $10,000 will do. And I am thrilled to announce that we have 2 $10,000 donors in the bag. First of all, let's have it a big hand for my favorite donor, Mr. and Mrs. Anonymous. Let's hear it for Anonymous at $10,000. I kind of like that. And Dave, Diane, and Peter Goldenring, who are not with us, I hope they're somewhere listening. Thank you for your $10,000. We got $20,000 and we haven't even started yet, Santiago. So we're at $20,000. Anybody else tonight like to join those two at $20,000? Is there anybody else in the room that would like to raise their paddle tonight at $10,000? Anybody at $10,000? By the way, if the auction's a failure, it's all your fault, Santiago, okay? Is there anybody at $10,000 tonight? We're at $20,000. Anybody else at $10,000? How about a big hand for those two who just gave $10,000? All right? Good start? You feeling good? All right. The next amount is $5,000. And $5,000, what an example of $5,000 will do is it will offer one family the help it needs to work through some of the challenges within, obviously, a very compassionate environment. That's what $5,000 will do. Who tonight would like to raise their paddle for MEND and give a nice start to our fundraising tonight and raise their paddle at $5,000? Thank you very much. Right over here, Janet at $5,000. Thank you, sir, in the back at $5,000. We can give these donors a big hand. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you, sir, at $5,000. You can clap for him, Santiago. Thank you. Remember, Santiago went to Disneyland a couple years ago, all right? So we have $5,000. We have $5,000 in the back. Anybody else at $5,000? If not, let's have a big hand. We just raised another $10,000. Thank you. And I hope online, those of you who are watching online, I don't even know what camera to look at, but hello, and I'm sure you have instructions to give. So join us when you hear the amount online. Join us and click where you need to click and help support MEND. All right, $2,500 will help MEND's food pantry with enough non-perishables and fruits and vegetables for 200 families. That's what $2,500 could mean for MEND for 200 families. Anybody in the room tonight say, I want to help 200 families by raising their paddle tonight for $2,500. Thank you, sir. You are helping 200 families at $2,500. Anybody else at $2,500 or roughly the cost? Are you leaving? He's going on strike. I love it. Santiago, let's have a big hand for Santiago. Really nice job. All right? The guy works 5 minutes and he's demanding a break. I love it. We've got $2,500 here. Santiago, thank you for your help. Who else at $2,500? Is there one more hand that wants to help 200 families, either online or in the room? Anybody else at $2,500? Going once, going twice. If not, thank you, sir, for your generous donation of $2,500. Make sure you fill out the card and the volunteer will come by your table a little bit later and collect it. All right, $1,000. What does $1,000 do? $1,000 could provide one family a food box each week for the duration of the program. $1,000 means one food box for one family throughout the program. I'm gonna, as we go down, I'm gonna try to come down over here. Thank you very much at one. Let's see if we can get 7 hands up. Let's see if we can get 10 hands up at 1,000. Thank you, sir, at 1,000. Thank you, sir, at 1,000. Thank you, ma'am, at 1,000. One over here at 1,000. That's 4. Thank you, sir, at 1,000. That's 5 at 1,000. Thank you over here. 6 at 1,000. Sir, thank you very much. $7 at $1,000. I think we got one more at 8 at 1,000. Yes, thank you, ma'am. That's 9 at 1,000. Is there one more hand up to get us to $10,000? Anybody else at $1,000? Going once, going twice, looking for one more. How about a big hand for those 9 people at $9,000? Thank you for your generosity. That's 1,800 families that will be benefited by your $1,000 donation for food boxes. What does $500 do? $500 could ensure that 40 homeless individuals are fed, clothed, and supported with dignity and respect. That's an example of what $500 will do. Ladies and gentlemen, are there 6 hands up tonight at $500 to get us another $3,000 or maybe more? Thank you very much. There's one at $500. Thank you very much, sir, at $500. In the back at $500. Thank you. Look at this table, the Triple Crown, the trifecta, uno, dos, tres. Thank you all for your $500. Same thing at this table, 3 at this table at $500. That's another $1,500. In the back, thank you. That's another $1,000 right over here, sir. Ma'am, thank you so much. At $500. Did I miss one? Of course. Anybody else at $500? Yes, thank you very much, sir. At $500. Anybody else? At $500? Yes, thank you. You can raise your neighbor's hand and you can spend your neighbor's money. I'm okay with that, okay? Thank you for all. Let's have a nice hand for all those who gave $500. Okay. Only a couple more amounts. I'm not going to follow you to see if you have change in your glove box. But I am going to ask if anybody in the room wants to spend $200 tonight to help kids, to help keep MEND's door open to those most in need. You know, that general fund to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on, to keep the staff going. We need all of the money that we can get for the next 50 years. And so think of all the programs, and we're at $200 tonight. It's a reasonable level. If you haven't given, or if you'd like to give again, now's the time to raise your paddle tonight and fill out the form as you do it, and our volunteers will come to your table. Who'd like to raise their hand up? If we get 10 hands up at $200, that's $2,000. Thank you very much at $200. Thank you, ma'am, at $200. That's 2, that's 3. Anybody else at $200? Thank you. 4, 5 at $200. 1 in the back at $200. Thank you. 7, 8. Thank you, Santiago. Gracias, Santiago. 9, 10. Who else at $200? That's another 2,000. Thank you very much in the back. I used to run over there, but I will thank you to keep your paddle up. Keep your paddle up. Thank you very much. At $200. Yep, thank you very much. Anybody else? Thank you, sir. At $200. How about a big hand for those at $200? And last but not least, I hope you're clicking and bidding and spending online as well. I don't know if it's on here, but there's an other box. So if we haven't called your amount, if you'd like to give $100, if you'd like to give $50, if you'd like to give $150,000, whatever you would like to do, we'll take it, right, Janet? Yes, we will. That's why we have this blank box, right? It's that mystery box. You can put any amount in you want, or you could fill it out for your neighbor if you would like. You might not be friends or sitting with them next year, but you can fill that out. If you would like to give any amount that we haven't given tonight, please do so right now and raise your hands. Thank you very much. And if you filled out the cards, by the way, if you want to give $50, that's great. But if you filled out the cards, please raise them in the air so one of our volunteers can collect them. Thank you. Yes, we've got some over here and over there. Thank you, sir, for your generosity. I think we've done really well tonight, and I hope online that we've also given a lot of money. Thank you all for being here. Here's to the next 50 years. Good night.
Thank you, Grant Steiner, and all of you for your generosity. Hello, everyone. My name is Lupe Martin, and I'm volunteer and community engagement specialist. I joined the MEND staff in 1992. Over the last 29 years, I have come to know Ed and Carolyn as friends, mentors, and have given their time and energy so generously to so many, even while maintaining a full career. Carolyn as a nurse at Kaiser, and Ed as an aerospace engineer at Lockheed Martin. Spreading hope whenever they went and igniting a fire in the heart and mind of multiple generations. They raised 5 amazing children who share their parents' kindness and compassion, children who also share their parents with a whole community. We are forever grateful to the entire family, to the entire Rose family, and to all the founders. Now, for the moment we have all been waiting for, the reason we are here tonight.
Every time I go to the center now, I get excited, I get energized, I almost feel euphoric. I really can't totally express it with words, but I know I'm going to be a mender until the day I drop.
Yeah.
And I might come back and help out.
Ed, look it. Here's the Von Frankenbergs. We had some party that we were doing. Schlitz Brewery. Oh boy, those were the days. My name is Carolyn Rose. I am, number one, a volunteer at MEND, but I also am a co-founder of the organization.
My name is Ed Rose, volunteer at MEND, and I was one of the co-founders.
We met each other at San Fernando Valley State College in 1961 in a ballroom dancing class.
So we danced our way to heaven. You know, in the early 60s, there was a lot of things going on.
The farm workers were starting to organize.
And then I met Caesar, and to me, he was really an inspiring guy.
And that really inspired him to want to help people. We were involved in our parish, and we had a Christian social service group. It was evident that there was extreme poverty in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, and we felt we needed to address those issues.
We had about 7 or 8 people from our parish. I thought, well, you know, we need more people than this.
We had really nothing when we started except our desire to help people. Initially, there was 3 parishes, and then we had one black church called the Soul Winning Revival Center, and Reverend Monder was our one and only chaplain. We were trying to figure out a name, and Reverend Monder came up with this thing like Massive Economic Neighborhood Development. And well, we weren't massive. We had no money. We had hardly any people. We had a lot of needs. So then our then secretary was Peter Travis, who came up with Meet Each Need with Dignity.
It fit us. It really fit us well.
If you don't respect a person's dignity, then you might as well not help them. In the very early days, we did basic things. We had furniture, food, and clothing. For the first 17 years, we were totally volunteer.
It got to the point where more than we could handle.
We were just growing so fast that we needed somebody that wasn't volunteer, that was actually going to be on site. And it just grew from there.
And we had several storefronts up and down
Van
Nuys Boulevard until we got one, became our center.
We needed to expand into other areas.
I was on the border with the farm workers. While I was there, I met some nuns, and those nuns told some other nuns. So it ended up, we had a total of 11 nuns. We wanted to be able to educate the people to someday say, thank you, man, but we don't need you.
A lot of the clients actually did go on to break the bonds of poverty, like Baltazar Martinez. His family walked from Silmar all the way to Pacoima to get their food, and he and his 2 sisters all have college educations, and Baltazar was on our board at one time. It's just been marvelous.
We were there from the beginning, but so were a lot of people. We played a part, but a small part.
Oh, we could have never done it by ourselves. Oh, Lord, no.
Oh, no.
It's been a community love project.
This allowed us to put a face on poverty. People would not think of poor people as in numbers or percentages. They think of us as human beings, as people who suffered, needed help. As we went along, I started to realize, you know, we were helping these people, but they were helping us.
Enjoy the meal? That's good. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Brown. I have been a MEND board member for 29 years. It seems like forever, but that's a good thing. I first became connected with MEND when I agreed to let them use a space in one of my buildings for the Christmas program in 1991, 100 years ago. I was so touched to see the smiles on the faces of the children that it was amazing. Who got the gifts that year Then I was approached by to join the board, and it was a resounding yes. Over these years, the roses have inspired me to stay focused to what I'm doing and to lift up people in poverty as much as possible during my lifetime. I'm so lucky, and really lucky, to know them and call them my friends.
Good evening. I'm Ron Villafana. I knew about MEND starting in the 1980s when my mother volunteered to teach English as a second language. In 2001, I became a volunteer truck driver, transporting donated and recovered food to MEND's food bank. 14 years later, Ed approached me about joining the board. Like Steve, it was an immediate yes, and I haven't stopped since. Working side by side with Ed and Carolyn, hearing their stories, seeing their dedication and selfless compassion inspired me to pay it forward. Imagine what a better world would be if we had more people like them.
There we go. Now you can hear me, right? Okay. Thank you. I'm Virginia Tanawong. I've been a MEND board member for almost 10 years. I became connected with MEND when I saw an announcement in our church bulletin that MEND was looking for volunteers. It was for their holiday program, and I just loved the whole concept of adopting a family at holiday time. I joined the board about 2 years later. Ed and Carolyn's compassion, their humility, and resilience are so incredibly unique and inspirational. From their early days working alongside Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta in support of farm workers, their generosity and tireless work in providing food and clothing to neighbors in need while raising their family, to their determination, which I think is likely their stubbornness as well, and partnership with the other founding families led to the creation of MEND. Their entire life's work is an example of living out your faith and treating everyone with dignity and respect. I also love that they both always have a smile on their face and a twinkle in their eyes. They definitely find joy in their work. On behalf of my esteemed colleagues, we are so honored to present Ed and Carolyn Rose with the MEND Founders Award. We know that there were many involved, but it was you who were the torchbearers and kept the vision alive all these decades. Please welcome to the stage our honorees, Ed and Carolyn Rose.
Thank you so much. When we started this work, we wanted to help, but we always said that if you did things for others but did not do it with dignity for that person, you might as well not be doing it at all. We never dreamed that MEND would be what it is today, but we wanted to do something that would change people's lives, and just, even if it was just a little bit. It made us happy. It made us frustrated, but still made us able to be helped. We were happy to be able to help those who were in need. We appreciate this award, but we never did it to get recognition. Our life has been really blessed and wonderful due to our involvement in MEND. I can't imagine, and Ed can't imagine, our lives without helping others. It's part of our DNA. One time when I was leading the family adoptions for Christmas for that program, we took our own kids to deliver gifts to some of the families. One family lived in an attic of a garage. To enter the garage attic, we had to climb up a rickety ladder. Can you imagine living in conditions like that and even trying to raise a family? Our son Mike, who was about 8 years old at the time, was particularly impacted by this, and I remember him saying, "Mom, if we didn't take these gifts to these people, they wouldn't have had Christmas." Sorry, I knew I was going to cry. We wanted to make sure that our children learned about being in service to others, especially to those in need.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ed. Oops. Well, it wasn't worthwhile listening to me anyway. I would like to share some stories that highlight the dignity of both people that give and those that receive from MEND. The last Christmas before COVID, I was involved with the distribution of food and toys. A volunteer came to me and introduced her 10-year-old son. And she said that he had come to her earlier in the year and said, "I don't want any presents for my birthday party this year. I want people to bring shoes for children." He says, "When we can take the shoes to MEND, and MEND can give them to the poor kids." And I was thinking to myself, man, that kid's only 10 years old. Where did he get it? Where's it coming from? Around the same time, the staff had put out a big effort to help this one family, one of our MEND families. And one of the boys, who was about 12, had gone to his mother and said, "Mom, those people at MEND were really nice to us. You're a good cook. Make them a meal and we'll take it back to thank them." There was really a good meal, and there was enough left for a second helping the next day. Kind of a funny story is in the early days of MEND, we were lucky to receive several nuns came and volunteered, and they liked the idea of living and working in the community. They believed in what we were doing, and they had dedicated themselves dedicated their lives to the poor and struggling people. They were compassionate, and they kind, and they were really strong women. And so they were not nuns to be messed with. When we were going through a major issue with the bank, they wanted to charge us rent that we could not afford. They wanted $3,000. And so, well, they wanted the moon as far as I was concerned. So we sent the nuns to you all know the end of the story already, probably. They ended up coming back and said that $3,000 is now down to $300 signed on the line for the rent. The moral of this story is it's hard, very hard, to say no to a nun.
Thank you again for this recognition, but mostly to all the support of all you folks for the years. You know, none of us can do this alone. Thank you so much. to take a picture. Another picture.
Your favorite.
We're done.
And Carolyn so much again. And thank you everybody from MEND who put together this amazing celebration. And I'm so grateful to be here and play for you all. This song is an original song called Mother, and I hope you all enjoy. Cold shower, heal these burns after the fire. What we've learned, man's afraid of what he doesn't know. Picked a fight he cannot win. Metal machines are looking thin. Can't compare to the power of his home. Mother, mother, hear my cry. I don't ever want to say goodbye. Not like this, and baby, it's a shame. Mother, mother, my oh my, I can see the pain deep in your eyes. Ignorance and we're the ones to blame. Whoa, what we gonna do when the water dries? When the gray fog covers clear blue skies? It's a futile fate, we're watching pass us by. Clock keeps ticking on and on. Don't hurt so bad now, but when we're gone, our children suffer, cause we treat mother like this. Don't treat mother like this. Green, green eyes are painted black. Did too much, can't take it back. Wrap the necks in a plastic bag. Refineries for money men. Drink the lead out of your pen. Felt too good, it had to bring some back. Mother, mother, hear my cry. I don't ever want to say goodbye. Not like this, and baby, it's a shame. Mother, mother, my oh my, I can see the pain deep in your eyes. Ignorance, and we're the ones to blame. Whoa, what we gonna do when the water dries? When the gray fog covers clear blue skies? It's a futile fate, we're watching pass us by. Clock keeps ticking on and on. Don't hurt so bad now, but when we're gone, our children suffer, cause we treat mother like this. Don't treat mother like this. And we see terror all around. She's silent, but we feel her sound. So we build up just to put her down. How much time left have we got? But time knows he cannot be bought. So mother's gonna put us to the ground. What we gonna do when the water dries? When the gray fog covers clear blue skies? It's a futile fate, we're watching pass us by. Clock keeps ticking on and on. Don't hurt so bad now, but when we're gone, our children suffer, cause we treat mother like this. Don't treat mother like this. Thank you very much.
My name is Janice Puafo. I'm a mother of 4 and MEND board secretary. I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to celebrate with you all tonight, but I'm truly touched, and I know that you are as well. I've been a donor and a volunteer for many years. However, my MEND story started over 35 years ago. I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley by a mother whose anxiety and depression were so debilitating that we relied on public assistance and her odd jobs to make ends meet. What my mother lacked in material resources, she made up for in love and resourcefulness. However, we often didn't know where our next meal was coming from. Hunger nagged at us, and I had shoes with holes in them. But the true injury of poverty was shame. I remember the shame of waiting in long lines at food pantries for hours. I remember the shame of being handed bags of rice with mealyworms in them. And I remember sitting through sermons on our sins in exchange for a hot meal. I also vividly remember our experience at MEND. MEND was a place where my mother was treated with dignity and respect. In the most trying of times, at MEND we received hope and encouragement. Thanks to the Roses, MEND is still a place where families are physically and emotionally nourished and able to thrive. I'm sure many of you know the story of the boy and the starfishes stranded on the beach during a low tide. I was that starfish, stranded in poverty. Rather than being overwhelmed by the scale of the problem or looking away, the Roses reached down, picked up as many starfish as they could, and did whatever they could to impact and have an effect on the problem. And just like the starfish in the story, it mattered. I will never forget what MEND was to my family, and I know that I'm not alone. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Rose. Thank you, MEND volunteers and staff. Thank you, generous donors and supporters. Like the young boy on the beach saving starfish, you are having an impact on the most vulnerable in our community. You've heard tonight of Here We Thrive and of the impact on the community nourishment program If We Do Nothing. Your kind and generous support in the weeks and months ahead is critical to helping our community. We thank you in advance for your generosity, and we are so grateful for you for not looking away. Have a lovely evening. Please take your programs that celebrate and are a keepsake of the impact of the Roses on the San Fernando Valley and Los Angeles over the last 50 years. Here's to another 50 years.